Just now I'm smoking a Monte Cristo number 2, which I've always found a decent cigar. It was quite extraordinary in the 60s, and I still have a box, its original face and backing, of 1968. I occasionally draw on that. They're still great fun to smoke. It's a torpedo, basically. They smoke well. I find, by and large, since I switched after Davidoff, non-Cuban, I switched to Monte Cristo. In 1959, my father used to smoke occasionally. There was a box of cigars in his room, and the first cigar I pinched from it, I was 9 years old, took it to my bathroom, locked the doors. We had rather large bathrooms at Sifi. Opened the window, lit the cigar. When I took the first puff, I fell off the seat. It was so strong. Those were Henry Upmans, and they're what most people smoked in Karachi, Pakistan, in the late 50s. And 59 is when I had my first cigar, and that was a Henry Upman, silver tube with green writing on it. I still remember that. I smoked those for a while, and then after a while, I decided to change to Romeo and Juliet. And I smoked Romeo and Juliet right through the 60s, mostly. And I found them very nice to smoke. They were very good cigars. Until I reached the apex brand, which was the Churchill. And then I found I was getting into very difficult waters because Churchill was a large cigar. And I got into the habit of smoking in the afternoon, at night, and occasionally even at evening times. So it became rather difficult to keep up big cigars like that. And it was about the time that I discovered the Monte Cristo. Specifically, I liked the number 2. And I smoked those for quite a while. Coming into the early 70s, I discovered Davidoff. And I switched on to Davidoff because all of a sudden I could have 4 or 5 cigars a day. The Margot pre-lunch, Chateau Margaux, and the Hot Briand post-lunch. Initially, I was smoking the Davidoff number 1 for dinner time, and I found those were not adequate post-dinner. So I switched to the Dom Perignon Davidoff again. This I kept going with into the early 80s, when 2 things happened to me. One is I was with the American ambassador, Dean Hinton, in Spain, and I'd just been to Geneva and visited Zino Davidoff, whom I can call without hesitation a friend. And he gave me a box of 6 anniversarios he had just come out with. They were packed in cedar boxes. Remarkable cigar. And I was in Spain with Dean Hinton when Walter Mondale, the Vice President of America, heard Dean was there and asked Dean, he said, come along. And we went to the Vice President's lounge, and we offered him a cigar from the new Davidoff collection. And he was quite excited, and being excited, he helped himself to not 1 but 2 of those cigars. So that was an interesting thing that happened. And the other thing happened was in the early 80s, I had then switched to Cohiba. And I had, along with Mr. Rafika Chela, my friend, one of the earliest Cohibas in this neck of the woods. And Cohiba was coming in by then because Davidoff was backing out from Cuban tobacco. And what I did was I carried a cigar, and Prince Bernhard, the Prince Consort of the Netherlands, was in Karachi, and there was a sitting down dinner at Minu Marker's house, Jamshed Marker's brother, about 8 people, I think. And I was there, and out pulled after dinner Prince Bernhard Monte Cristo Tubos. And I said, "Could I see your cigar, sir?" He said, "Sure." And he was quite shocked because I pocketed it and I pulled out another cigar. I said, "Why don't you try this, sir?" He looked at it and said, "A Cohiba." And he actually went, "Ooh, in Pakistan, where did you get it from?" You know, like it was a big surprise. So that was another interesting anecdote, but from the Cohiba family. And there are many others such. I celebrated my 50th anniversary in Havana. Yeah, but I met up with, I was there for the Non-Aligned Movement conference. And the ambassador was a very dear friend, and he gave me a box of beautiful cigars for my 50th in Havana. On and on and on, you know. These are just anecdotes from times gone by. 1990s early. I was in London at the Soho headquarters of Cuba Tobacco. I bought a box of extraordinary cigars, Monte Cristo. Now, you will wonder why Monte Cristo, which played an important role in my life and still does. Monte Cristo, in fact, after the famous cigar entity in Cuba shut down, their premises were taken on by Monte Cristo and their lands and things. So, in my opinion, and then Cohiba also came into the same factory. So, for whatever it is worth, it became the most powerful cigar entity in Cuba, and is still to today. Rather many extraordinary cigars have come from the factory and the lands. And they, in the older days, used to produce some great brands. Why Cuban and not others? Well, the most fabulous wrapper in the world, even better than the Virginia wrapper, which is so highly touted in America, is the wrapper from the Walter Abajo. The Walter Abajo is the Valley of Gold. It's the most exclusive wrapper. And the drying process in Cuba is so fabulous that nobody can really imagine the high quality there. And Monte Cristo actually and Cuba, Cohiba, jointly held ownership of the old asset. Prior to my cardiac problem, I used to smoke 7 cigars a day, gone to an extreme. Now I do maybe 2, but I've had various heart problems at times. But I've never given up. There's not good advice on your television, but that is the truth. I started about 15 years ago smoking a cigar, which everyone thought was an amazingly bad cigar. It was the Monte Cristo Mini Edmondo. They caught on, and everyone I knew started smoking them. I used to buy them when I started buying them at 700 rupees a cigar. Today, a box of 20, 25 costs about 110,000. So they become very expensive and very popular. But I may have some bad role I played in that, promoting it a lot. we had a cigar club going, and the senior most person in that, Mr. Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi, great friend, senior to me, a lovely person, and we used to smoke together. At a later stage, he gave up. He'd do an occasional cigar. At that time, we had him. There was Mr. Ashik Bhutto, who was Mr. Mumtaz Bhutto's elder brother, great cigar, Aficionado. We had Mr. Irshaduddin, who was originally from Jaipur and then became head of Commercial Union Insurance. Similarly, we had some people who were very affectionate towards cigars, and we mostly were Sin Club members, and we used to be at each other's houses serving each other cigars and things like that. There were some great people here at one stage who smoked pretty regularly and knew cigars. We don't drink in Pakistan, you know the rules. But I mostly enjoy a good coffee with a cigar. But most people around the world enjoy a cognac with a cigar. I happened to smoke it, I enjoyed smoking it. At the United Nations, we created havoc. So I remember we started a cigar club there. And some very big names in the world came as members to that club. We used to hire a 28-seater jet from New York and fly to Havana, come back loaded with Cuban cigars. They can't stop you as ambassadors and court diplomats. We used to have lovely dinners all over the place, and some very dear friends there. Here, we had various groups that used to enjoy a cigar evening, black tie. No, because Jinnah died before I was born, so, and I never asked anyone. I could have, I should have. Maybe I will even now, but I don't know. Well, it's a nice start. They'd have to keep it going for a while. You know, this is the upper end of the market, and the upper end of the market also gets affected in critical times, critical economic times, which it is now. Wish them the very best. They've come in a difficult time. But knowing all the heroes probably carry the day. If you enjoy your cigar, a lot of people say you relax with a cigar. My advice to them is be relaxed before you light your cigar. Not taking your comfort from the cigar, but being comfortable with the cigar. You know, slight difference.